Hello, everybody. Welcome to another In the Love Amplified series. I hope you are all good over this Easter weekend. Let's play a game of what if. What if you live in your own universe and you create everything that happens there? Everybody else is a complementary player based on what you choose, what you decide, based on the story that you script, direct, produce, and act out. And what if this is the power that we all have? That we live in our own individual universe, and everybody else around us are simply complementary players doing exactly what they meant to do to complement the story that we're running. Now think about the implications of that. Okay, firstly, what kind of a story would you script? What kind of a story would you want to have run for your life? And what sort of outcomes would you like to produce in this particular story? You see, because what if our reality, individually and collectively, is simply the result of the stories we tell most consistently? So I remember when I was pretty young, I must have been 6, 7, 8 years old. And my family and I were sitting around the table and just chatting. And I remember somebody in my family, I can't even remember who, said that, and me being the youngest of 4 children, said that, oh, he's going to end up wearing glasses too. And my elder brother, my 2 older sisters, my mum and my dad all wore spectacles at the time, okay? All were short-sighted. And me being the youngest, I hadn't got there yet. But that's the thing. Was I always destined to wear glasses? Because I wear contact lenses now and have since I was quite young. But did I buy into the story that was there, that my mum, my dad all wore glasses, all of the children wore glasses, so it meant I had to wear glasses? And did that ultimately become my reality because of the story that was pervasive at that time? Now, that was not my story. I bought into somebody else's story, somebody else's narrative, which ultimately became my own. Is that perhaps what we do a lot of the time? Because think about if you were a script writer of your story, where would you write that script from? What would be the influences as to what your story would be? Would you write into the script that you become a multi-millionaire, highly successful? Okay, why would that be there? Who would influence that? And obviously you look around, your society, all of these things speak to the kind of story you would create. So what have been your influences in your life to the story that you are currently living that's ultimately bringing about your reality? So for me, I've had influences all along the way, from teachers, my parents obviously, books I've read. That's a major influence that shapes my story and continuously shapes my story that I'm writing and that I'm living out. So think about our reality right now. Each one of us could possibly still be creating our story. And what is the story that we're creating around COVID-19? Is the story have a happy ending? Does this story lead to total disaster? And if it does, who's writing that story? What are the influences? What have you bought into? Because here's the thing, within the realm of possibility, all these stories exist and they could be true. So from the most way out conspiracy theory, which is just a story, okay, to the most scientifically proven of what's going on here, again, just another story, and everything in between. And all of us are being influenced, being swayed in some way or another by these different stories. This is what marketing does. Marketing basically gives us a story. And if the story resonates on some level or is compelling enough on one level or another, it invites us or compels us to add that to our current script. And that becomes part of our narrative. So right now, who's influencing your story? What are you buying into about what is going on here? What are you allowing to direct your story? And what if you could isolate yourself and cut off from all of these external influences and simply tune inwards? And from that place of being in tune with self, being in tune with the universe, God, okay, start to write a story from there. Start to write a story with no real backstory, because maybe this isolation, this time for reflection, is an opportunity for us to cut off from the backstory, to cut off from all of these influences, and to begin to write a new script for us individually as to where we go to from here. What is the outcome of the story that we want to live? And in writing that individual script, we basically add to the collective script. And again, going back to where we started, if each one of us is our own individual universe with everybody else a bit player in that, and everybody else being complementary to our story, what if we begin to write a new, amazing, compelling story with an incredible end? And everybody else fits in with that story and complements that story in our own individual universe. Think about that, and it might be a possibility for you to now cut off from these external influences and begin to write your own story, because ultimately your life becomes a product of the story you tell and live most consistently. Now you get to choose your story. What is the best story that you can tell? The best story for you that you can tell. And then, what is the best story you can tell for humanity? Because maybe there's some megalomaniac out there who is writing a story of world domination. Just as an example. Now, us as bit players fall into that. And we become complementary to that story if we don't choose our own story. And here's the opportunity to begin to choose your story. What would that be? Here's the takeaway. Go and write that new story. And write it with a happy ending, a compelling ending. Or a story that never ends and it just goes on and on and on. Whatever the case, you find your story. Go and write it and live your life from that story. Thanks again for tuning in. Love to hear your comments as usual, and I'll check in with you tomorrow, Easter Sunday. Ciao for now.